What's up, everybody? Elimination Chamber just finished in Perth, Australia. And while we got confirmations on a lot of the rumored matches at Mania, we also have potential Mania feuds as well. So we're going to go through each match one by one. I'm going to give you my overall opinion and what I was thinking during the match as well. So if you guys enjoyed Elimination Chamber and you guys want to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, feel free to do so. Please leave a like and also remember to subscribe as well. Let's get right to it. So the first match was the women's Elimination Chamber match. And let me just start off real quick by saying, I think this was my favorite chamber match period of the night. The women really showed out. I feel like every woman here had like their own chance to shine with like a really cool spot. You know, we have Liv Morgan doing her off the pod jumps. You know, she did a senton onto Raquel. You know, we have Bianca just showcasing her strength always, right? And Raquel, you know, speaking of Raquel, Raquel was just throwing people around. You know what I'm saying? I think there was a moment where she did like a double Tejana bomb on I think it was Becky and Liv, which was crazy. Naomi also hit like a split leg drop off the cage. And then me personally, I think the MVP of the match, and you already know who it is, it was definitely Tiffy time in Australia. I mean, Tiffany Stratton was so over with the crowd, and honestly, I think she really proved herself in this match. She's gonna be a star for the years to come if she isn't a star already. And I think she was my MVP. I mean, she had some really cool spots, especially the swanton off the pod. She's definitely gonna be a future world champion, no doubt about it. The ending sequence for the Elimination Chamber match was really cool. You know, we had Bianca trying to hit the KOD on Becky, but Becky lands on her feet and Liv pins Bianca by rolling her up, which was crazy. But then just when you thought like, okay, that was just crazy how quick that happened, Becky comes in and gives Liv the manhandle slam, and next thing you know, she's going to WrestleMania to fight either Rhea or Nia Jax. This was easily my favorite match of the night. The next match was Judgment Day versus New Catch Republic. And I'll be honest, I don't have much to say about this. I think it was a solid match, but it was one of those matches that were pretty predictable. You know, I did not see Judgment Day losing the belts before WrestleMania. I mean, if they are even planning to lose the belts, I would assume it would be at Mania, you know, but I mean, again, it was a solid match. It was a good match, in my opinion. It's just, again, not really much to say because the outcome was pretty predictable. And I think I could see New Catch Republic being tag team champions in the future. You know, hopefully if they ever do split up the undisputed tag belts. But, you know, as for now, Judgment Day has it. Then the next segment was the Grayson Waller effect, of course, with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. You know, you had Austin Theory showing up at first, kind of insulting the Australian crowd, but then he introduces Grayson, and of course, you know, everybody in Australia loves Grayson. He comes out with, you know, he comes out to a good pop, and he has the you know, the flag and everything. So that was pretty cool to see. And then of course, you know, Cody and Seth are gonna get their pops no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's singing both of their songs, really. And the real highlight of this was two things, one more than the other, of course, but first, Seth, you know, announces that he's pretty much days away from being cleared, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? Definitely always good news to hear. Then the real highlight is Cody insists, you know, that he has an announcement of his own. And here we find out that, you know, Cody pretty much tells, like, he's talking to The Rock, and, you know, he's saying how The Rock slapped him and all that. But he tells The Rock that, you know, even though Cody is facing, you know, Roman at Mania, until then, Cody's free. So he pretty much calls out The Rock and says, I want a match. I want to fight whatever, whenever, wherever. I just want a match. And then, of course, you know, Seth comes up behind him and tells him, you know, that the thing about the bloodline is it's never been a one-on-one. So he kind of says what he told Cody on Raw not too long ago, that whenever that time comes, you don't have to fight it alone. To end the segment, it was just kind of like, you know, everybody besides Grayson Waller beat up on Austin Theory and just kind of send the fans, you know, just in a frenzy. But my thoughts on it is, like, I still think we might be getting some kind of a tag match, like maybe night 1 and then night 2 you have Cody versus Roman. I'm not too sure about it, but if Cody does fight Rock, that is not gonna happen at a regular Raw or SmackDown. You know, it has to happen at a pay-per-view. And then the only pay-per-view left is WrestleMania. So either it's just a singles match, night one, night two, you know, really put Cody through the gauntlet, so to speak, or just have the tag match that everyone's been kind of predicting and it's been rumored. Either way, I mean, I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready. Like this whole story with Cody, like whether you like it or not, I mean, it's gone global at this point. So I'm looking forward to it, and can't wait to see what The Rock and Roman have to say about it. It's time for the men's Elimination Chamber match, and you know, from the start, KO comes out with like just being this ball of energy. I mean, he is amped up. He's banging on the pods, banging on the damn chamber walls. I mean, he was going nuts. And of course, he wanted Logan Paul. Also a funny spot where they show Logan in the pod, and he's actually, I didn't notice it until the match was like kind of midway, I would say. But Logan was actually drawing on the pod with like a Sharpie, and he drew Kevin Owens or something. Just like, just real standard heel stuff. But I thought that was great. But I will say though, this chamber, the men were going crazy as well. They had their brutal spots. You know, one of my favorite spots was Lashley spearing Logan through the pod. I mean, that looked nuts. You know, again, we go back to KO and Logan. Logan Paul was about to come out of the chamber, and KO just like kind of comes right into frame, and he's just waiting for Logan. You know, and once you know the timer ran out, KO's just pulling the pod back, and he's just jumping right into the pod and just giving Logan the hands pretty much. Now, I'm not gonna lie, one of my predictions for this match was that we might have maybe had like a feud between Logan Paul and LA Knight set up, but boy was I wrong. AJ Styles ended up interfering in the match, I believe, when Bobby Lashley was eliminated, so he was like making his way out of the chamber. AJ Styles comes in and completely just destroys LA Knight, you know, hits him with a chair a couple of times, and ends up doing the Styles Clash onto a chair, in which leads LA Knight being eliminated. And clearly that is one of our potential Mania feuds. And I don't know if I would have preferred LA Knight and Logan Paul more, but I still think like I think there's a reason obviously behind it, and I think Mania is probably the best way just for AJ and LA Knight to just kind of settle the differences once and for all and just move on from there. Well, after LA Knight gets eliminated, you have your final three, and it's Logan, Drew, and Randy Orton. We end up seeing that Logan Paul, of course, snuck in brass knucks, and he's kind of showing them off and just kind of like taunting the crowd, when Randy Orton just comes out of nowhere and gives him an RKO and eliminates Logan just like that. And the whole match, Randy was kind of feeling the wear and tear on his back. So there was a moment where Drew had the upper hand, and Randy, of course, just the Viper that he is, comes out of nowhere and hits Drew with an RKO. But it was one thing that I noticed as time was going on from the moment where Logan was eliminated. Like, as time was going on, Logan was still in the chamber, and I realized it, and I was just thinking like, what do you got planned? And it was it got clearer as like it got towards the time, but I had a feeling Logan was gonna screw Randy over. And what do you know, after Randy hits Drew with the RKO, Logan socks Randy with the brass knucks, which leads to Drew pinning Randy, and Drew is going to WrestleMania to fight Seth Rollins. And now we have another potential Mania feud, Logan Paul versus Randy Orton, which I'm not gonna lie, if you would have told me this beforehand, I probably would have looked at you crazy if you said that. But here we are, and it looks like that's exactly what the match is going to be. And we have Drew versus Seth. Now, will Drew be able to finally capitalize on Seth and win the title? Only time will tell. Last but not least, we have Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax, which is the main event of this pay-per-view. I will say this. The match, especially the first half, I don't think it was great. I think it was okay, if I had to be honest with you. I think the second half of the match is where things kind of started picking up. You know, Nia Jax throwing Rhea into the announce table and then jumping from the chair onto. I mean, there was a lot of chaos that happened, but I think from that point, that's when things started picking up, and I would definitely say the crowd and the atmosphere made up for it. You know, because of course Australia was going crazy for Rhea, you know, booing Nia. And I also believe it or not, I'm not a Nia Jax fan, but believe it or not, I think this might have been one of her best matches. You know, like I'm not saying she went above and beyond and did some crazy stuff, but I think compared to the matches she normally has, I think she played her role very well. But yeah, my favorite spots were the announce table spot, and also Rhea does a superplex, you know, from the top rope on Nia, and that was nuts. I mean, you know, kudos to them. I'm glad nobody got, you know, really hurt. And after the superplex, you know, Rhea takes advantage, hits Nia with the riptide, and Rhea Ripley has successfully defended her title in her home country. And it was just a feel good moment, you know, like it was, again, the match was not anything crazy, but it was a good way to end the show. You see Rhea actually had a couple times where it looked like, you know, she was just really emotional, but again, you know, who wouldn't be? And it was just really good to see Rhea just kind of being celebrated because she has been one of the top female stars. And of course, seeing her with her family was great as well. So I think you know it was a good way to end the show. And overall, I think the Elimination Chamber show was pretty solid. Even though I will say this too, even though you can argue that the Chamber matches in terms of like the winners were predictable, which I would agree. I think the matches themselves were like really good though. You know, I think all the spots that happened, I think it at least made it interesting, even though you can argue that the winners were predictable. But other than that, you know, again, the Judgment Day match was okay, predictable as well, but it was a solid match. The Cody Seth thing was cool too. I mean, it's cool that now we're finally getting like Cody and Seth pretty much calling out the bloodline. So I'm interested to see what's gonna happen. You know what's the bloodline's response to it. Drew going to, you know, to Mania to fight Seth. Cool, you know what I'm saying. I'm curious to see if it stays a single match, because again, who knows what is happening with the Money in the Bank briefcase and Damian Priest. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but as of now, it's Drew versus Seth, and then again, you know, Rhea Ripley just defending it at, you know, in her home country, and now it's gonna be Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. That should be a pretty good match. So overall, I enjoyed the show. Let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.